I so wish Desi could have come with me today, but the snow is just too deep here. The stream is not frozen over. It's still moving. Even though it's really cold, the water still moves.
It's not gonna go in the pool.
Oh my
It's not
goodness.
gonna go in the river. Hello, everyone.
Is everybody gonna be all right? Now wait a minute, we got a fire truck trying to help the cat in the water and the horse in the water?
Yeah.
Well, what kind of accident was that? The street here is like a frozen tundra. It's all snow and ice and winter in all its glory, but look at this tree. It's the only tree that wouldn't give up all its leaves. It really put up a fight, and it looks like it's winning. Beautiful. It's so unusual, but I don't, just looking at this gives me hope. Everybody, thank you so much for coming back and seeing me and Desi today. I hope you had a good, safe, warm week. I didn't, but that's okay. This is Michigan, and it's the winter. And you know what? Monday, January 29th, I am going to be 69 years old. How about that? My last year in my 60s. So, you know, this year I want to really whoop it up. You know, I want to do something once a month that I've never done before, but I've always wanted to do. Now, you know, I don't have a list of what those things would be, but I'm going to come up with something. I ran across this list, and it was 9 questions a person has to ask themselves on their birthday and answer honestly. And if you do, it's supposed to change your life. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to try this. And as I answer these questions, and boy, they're brutal. As I answer them, will you answer them with me? You know, maybe in the comments, answer a few, but I don't want to be alone in this. But there's something about a woman's birthday. I think it brings out the very best in her. What would it take for me to feel that I'm enough? And I don't think there's a woman alive who doesn't understand what that question really means. I mean, I was sitting around as a little girl in the early 60s, and I was watching the Miss America pageant, and I was thinking to myself, even though I was so little, like 7 years old, and I'm thinking, well, to be a successful woman, you have to have long legs and be thin with a tiny little waist with a beautiful smile, a really pretty bouffant hairdo. And if anybody asks you a question, you answer with 2 words, world peace. But seriously, that pageant formed my belief that a woman's worth equaled how she looked. So I went through the majority of my life wondering, was I enough? Did I measure up? And it kind of snowballed into other areas of my life too. But it seemed that my physical appearance was something that if I didn't feel I measured up, that seemed to hurt me the most. And that led to a lot of insecurity. At 69 years old, how insecure am I? I guess it's kind of what the question is asking. If a nice gentleman asks me out, sometimes I don't say yes if I'm sort of having a bad week, because I feel that when I'm sitting with him and he's chatting with me, I start to think, what is he seeing? And is there that spark? And then I feel my age. And I know it's wrong. I know it's silly and stupid. And I don't always feel that way. But sometimes I do. And sometimes, honestly, I will just make an excuse and not go out because I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel that I'm not enough. And it's something I need to work on. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have those feelings. And I think that when you're with someone, they can sense your insecurity. And I think insecurity, sensing that, is more negative than any age spot that might pop up or a wrinkle. So it's something I truly have to work on.
There is no you and me, but only the flowers in the garden, the sun and the moon at our feet. This short time on earth, we leave our mark if we're lucky. We lust and we beg and change our minds because one of us overcooked the morning fried eggs.
Have I paid a price for my silence? Absolutely. I have spent a huge portion of my life not saying anything, not getting involved, not causing any trouble. I realized early on in my life that things would happen to me as a woman. And if I wanted to take care of my life and not have bad things happen, I would just keep my mouth shut. And I remember I was 18 years old and my little baby was 3 months old. And I lived in a cute little duplex. And, I'm a new mom and the world is a pretty place. And my landlord would come around once a month and he was a very well-dressed, successful businessman. But he wanted to come to my apartment to get the rent in person. And one day, I had the cash for him, and he told me, please, put your baby down. I need you to come here for a minute. And I thought, well, sure, I think he likes me. This is great because I love this apartment. I walked over, and he started feeling up my chest. I remember his face got all red, and I recoiled, and I just kind of moved back. And I'd given him the cash for the apartment, and I remember he was kind of shaking, and he put the cash in his pocket, and he said to me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. It won't happen again, but don't tell anybody, or you won't have an apartment. And I never did. I didn't tell his wife. I didn't tell my husband at the time. I didn't tell anybody. And the next month when he came around, he did the same thing. And the month after that, and the month after that. I learned at 18 years old, I learned sometimes when you're young and you're poor and you have no power, you keep your mouth shut. But what I learned as I grew older, as the more squawking I did, and the more self-respect I developed, I began to have a pretty big mouth. And there never was any man threatening me again that if I didn't play ball, I wouldn't be safe.
It's the only tree that wouldn't give up all its leaves. It really put up a fight.
What do I need to change, and why aren't I doing it? Well, I knew a few months ago that I had to drop 18 pounds. Now I have this big wedding I got to go to in August, and now I really want to lose it. And I am starting to do something about it. But I was thinking, how come it took me so long to put something in motion that would really help me lose this weight? And I started to kind of put maybe two and two together that, when you are not at your fighting weight, maybe you don't want to go out socially so much. And because I was kind of avoiding that whole dynamic with meeting someone and going out, like maybe that extra weight kept me from a little bit of romance. I don't know. Have I made peace with my past? I don't think so. I don't think I ever will. But I have made peace with the fact that I probably won't ever make peace with my past. Not 100%. In this video, I am doing a little bit of a voiceover from some of my journal entries from the 80s and 90s. I used to write in my journals every single day in my 20s, my 30s, and my 40s and beyond. And I started to read some of my entries, and they were pretty shocking. They're very, very raw and intimate. And I started thinking, a long time ago, I thought I'm going to turn all these journals into a book someday. But now I'm thinking, what if something happened to me and my son found all these journals? And I was debating, maybe I should just read them like a good book and then burn them. I don't know. What would you do? But anyway, getting back to have I made peace with my past? When I read those journals, that's the nitty-gritty of my life. That is my past, day by day, minute by minute, practically. I always talked about money. I always talked about feeling depressed. I talked about romance. But there was such little joy. The joy that I have now in my life, without those journals, I wouldn't have known that, yes, my past was very exciting, but it was filled with a lot of heartache.
I love you more now than I ever have. I love you now as you are, aloof, profound, calm, endearing, so honest it makes my bones rattle. When we lie, it is the truth, falling at our feet like petals and keys, wood and ivory, sheet music and chords.
Turn right on Division Street.
I think that my biggest blind spot in my life is when I love someone, whether it's a family member or a very, very close old friend, you can't tell me anything bad about that person. I love them so much. I don't want to hear it. I won't believe it. I just love them so desperately. And my sense of loyalty, even to, my bandmates that I really don't talk to much anymore. If someone were to say something about them, I'm just like, so yes, I think love, my love for another human being, my loyalty, it makes me dismiss reality at times. I don't want to believe anything bad about them. And yes, maybe they really messed up. So yeah, okay, I accept that. But I understand maybe why it happened or why they did it. Love is so unconditional. True love is so unconditional. I have a blind spot, and I'm even stuttering. So, do you feel that way too? I'm gonna move on to the next question because this one is making me stutter. It must go really deep. Is my life moving forward? Yes, absolutely. It's just not moving forward as fast as it was. for the longest time, I felt like my life was moving backwards. When the pandemic hit, that really affected me deeply, and I was afraid every single day. I was fearful in different areas that I didn't even know were possible to be fearful about. It scared the bejeebies out of me. I was afraid to go to the grocery store. I was afraid to talk to my neighbor. I went into Target and everybody had masks, and I was just afraid. And what I did with that fear is I put that fear into motion. And I actively started to look for another apartment in the middle of the pandemic. I threw myself into making videos, and it was like a train being on the tracks of I tried to outrun my fear. I took all that negative energy and I tried to put it into something positive for me and for the people around me. And it worked. And then it became contagious as I was moving forward and moving into a new apartment and finding different ways to express myself on film. And here I am now. I'm in a new house in a new city. I have a brand new life with brand new people in it. And I'm not moving forward out of fear anymore. I'm moving forward out of my own personal desire to be better.
Desi, you know what we're going to do today? Our neighbor Mary is coming over and we are going to bake doggy biscuits. How do you feel about that? Do you like that? Do you like that idea? Yeah.
What is the one thing I need to do before I leave this earth? I don't have a bucket list, but this morning I was reading about Paul Simon and how he is battling being deaf. And to me, that is such a tragedy because I always thought of Paul Simon as a great songwriter and a great musician. So God gave me this talent of being able to play piano and to hear melodies and to write lyrics and to try to communicate through music. And here I am barreling into my 70s, and you never know about your vocal cords or your hearing. I don't have this amazing luxury of just saying, well, maybe I'll do it in 5 years or maybe I'll do it in a couple years. I mean, the time is now, and I realize that. So I want to do one more record, and that's very important to me. My last record I wrote about my life, and that was my life then. Now this is how I see the world now, and so I hope I get to do that. That's important to me. Another thing I'd really like to do before I leave this earth, I want all of us to get together. Wouldn't that be fun? I'd love all of us to meet at some theater or something and then go have a pajama party. But yeah, I hope I get to do like a meet and greet where we all just hang out and drink coffee or wine or I don't know what.
I look at you there and I see myself in your fear. You break my spirit. You make my soul hurt. I wish I had never met you. I can't live without you. Passion is such a hard slap in the face reflected back in each other. We never say goodbye. We never say anything.
Do I feel my own feelings? We always talk about empathy. Can we understand how somebody else is feeling? And that's fine. We all work on that, don't we? But do we feel our own feelings? I would like to say I do. When I actually let my feelings kind of blossom within, I usually will cry. And I thought about that because have you ever watched like an ex-president give an interview And suddenly he's like a blubbering idiot. We love him, but he's like crying. And because as we age, we are more apt to cry because we get overwhelmed by the feelings that we are allowing in for the first time. That's beautiful. But also to protect us as a senior, I think a lot of times, we almost go numb because we don't want to get hurt, or we're cautious, we're protecting ourselves. So I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, but do I allow myself to feel my feelings? I do and I don't. But sometimes a piece of music will make me realize how I'm truly feeling, and it all comes crushing in and the tears just flow. And it's a good cry. For me, this next question is the hardest of all. Do I see myself as others see me? That's something that I don't know anything about. I have no idea how other people see me. I have no idea how my family sees me. I have no idea how you see me. I know the comments that you leave me are so touching and so beautiful, and you're so kind. But I have never allowed myself to think what other people see in me or what other people think. I can't do that. If I had that in my mind, I could never be on this platform. I could never do videos. I would let other people edit what I say or how I feel or how I look. I couldn't do that. If what was in my mind constantly is, how are you seeing me? Am I pleasing to you? Am I saying the things you want to hear? I couldn't live like that. I think that's why I can't do sponsorships anymore. I've just had it up to here. I just can't do it. Last week, my video did very well on some of the challenges that I've been facing the last few months. And I got a lot of brand new subscribers, maybe even 1,000 of you new beautiful folks out there. But I can't think about that. When I'm filming, I can't think about, oh, there's more people out there, or, maybe I need to change this, because how do they see me? I have to focus on how I am moving that camera around a certain object to tell a story. I can't tell a story and be the story at the same time. That doesn't work for me. How do we see ourselves? How do I see myself? That I can handle. All the rest needs to just fall away. Or I could never have a happy life. I could never have a productive life. As Bill used to say to me, never let anybody edit who you are, no matter what. Wow, this is amazing. After the storm, here is proof of life in my garden that spring will come, and that through it all, we survived. Life is about renewal, and it's about change, and that's a good thing. Maybe the answers we're looking for about our life are right in front of us. We just don't see them. We only feel them. And that's a start.
Yeah, you do. Look at that face.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I loved every second of it. And if you get a chance down below, could you maybe answer a few of these questions? Don't leave me hanging by myself. Please have yourself a wonderful, happy, brand new week. And when you're done with your week, come back and see me and Desi, okay? All right, it's a deal. We'll be here.